can always say when I start a program. Yes, I'm a healthcare professional, and some people say, oh, but you usually talk about cancer and stuff. Why now mental health? Health issues are health issues. On the health show, I talk about a variety of health issues. I am not an expert in any of them, but I have a very high level of experience in most of them. For example, when it comes to mental health, I am a level 2 counselor, so I know what I'm talking about to some degree. And also, like I always say, these programs are not about telling you all the facts and what you should be doing and what it's really about allowing you to think. It's about teasing your mind and making sure you think about some of these issues, or you might have been thinking about it, or you are in an environment where some of these issues are happening and you have not recognized some of the signs or issues around it. So this is really to just give you that opportunity and that information for you to take it and try and do more with it, and also to signpost you to where you can get more information from. So, and please be rest assured that's what I intend to do. So, why mental health? I mean, mental health awareness was last month in the UK, and I think in North America it's around about October, November time. I'm not sure. But then I think yesterday was World Drug Misuse Day. So it ties in very well. And some people would have seen a lot of stuff going on about drug misuse and addiction and abuse on social media because, for example, our lovely sister in Sierra Leone, Asma James, I read a short article she wrote about this, about drugs and the misuse of it and the problems it's causing in our community, especially in Sierra Leone. So kudos to her. And I think for all of us in the media trying to raise awareness, it's really to raise awareness so that people will start thinking really about what they're doing. Is it really, are you doing the right thing? Or should you be doing something else? So, mental health illness. Na Salon we call them Chrisman. In Sierra Leone, we say people then don't Chris. And in Sierra Leone, when they say person Chris, most times we relate it to someone who has stripped themselves naked. They don't pull them clothes, they run the streets, or they talk by themselves. They are hallucinating, whether it's auditory or visual hallucination they're experiencing, or they're having psychotic episodes where they're, for example, with the schizophrenias, where they're becoming paranoid that someone is trying to hurt them, or their mother might be their enemy. Then sometimes they say, don't see devil, you don't see devil. Now devil, you don't see so. Now Gina, I get Gina. Those kind of things is how we relate to mental health in Sierra Leone. And also we relate to mental health in just one perspective. We always look at mental health, say, oh, now do they don't do them. They don't care and go to Moriman. They don't make it on Chris. Or from where you go mass, it pass na that road, it mass for that in the way no one sus, it don't Chris. Or now in Papa, now the money when Papa gets, now in is sacrificed to them Gina them. Now in the devil, now make it don't Chris. So we've got all these various myths about mental health and everything. But then what we don't really understand and realize that actually it has got nothing to do with some of these issues that we related to. It has nothing. And actually some of these issues are natural issues that are happening. For example, people with bipolar disorder or paranoid schizophrenia or drug-induced psychosis. These are real problems. And these are real problems that are not just happening to Africans, but they are happening in the Western world where they don't get step mama where they do them. They don't get mates where they do them. They don't get just somebody who see them and not let them, so they decide for go do them bad. They don't get papa where one gentry where they can go to medicine where they go sacrifice them. So they don't get all that in and then they experience them day in, day out. But the problem now with community or now with society, we they kind of shy away from these issues, and then we know they recognize them to some level. And so I think that is why for me, I have this. I am using my knowledge and getting my knowledge, using myself as a vehicle for pass on some of this information for raise awareness in our community, and let we teach each other. Let we learn for talk about some of these issues. Let we learn for share them, and through that we will learn a lot how for deal with them better and how for treat people the way they go through such issues rather than just isolate them or just abandon them because they are not normal. So let's think about that. So what is mental health illness? So mental health illness, it actually refers to a wide range of health conditions, um, disorders where they affect your mood, your thinking, that is your thought process, and your behavior. So your mood basically is to do with your feelings, your emotions, and then your thinking, which has got to do with waiting to go on in your mind, waiting you to think about and how you dey process them, and then your behavior, how you dey react to things and not react to things, So and that's mental health illness is all about. And if we say we look at some examples of mental health illness, the one of the most popular one them I go say is depression, anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and addictive behaviors. So, for example, we'll say depression, where people them, they get low mood. Some people then they get withdrawn, and you get various types of depression. You get just the organic depression, or you get the clinical depression where very serious. So it's about really knowing waiting for do, waiting not for do and stuff. And then you get the anxiety disorders where people can say, this person as you see kind of crowd, you don't begin panic or you don't begin waiting. Those are anxiety disorders. There must be something that crowd they, or where anytime where you see crowd where they make it begin feel anxious and then it get them panic attack there. Then of course you get schizophrenia, when a whole topic on its own. So like I say, me not a psychiatrist, so I know they go into depth. All this we did about is just follow. We pick on some of these mental health illness signs them, so we go signpost people then on the right place. And eating disorders, of course, some people they we get things like anorexia nervosa, where somebody it go be size 8, but when you look himself in a mirror, he thinks say in a size 18. Now, don't no disrespect to size 18 people them, but it's just that that person they no want for be size 18. But then the sad thing is, because in thought process is affected, when he look himself in a mirror, even though in a size 8, it dey feel say in a size 18. So what did they do? They begin starve himself because they feel say, well, I dey eat too much now, make I dey get body, and I no want get body. So they begin starving himself. Then of course that they cause lots and lots of complications and lots of problems, and physical health problems as well. Or you get people where they go eat, then they go put their hand at their throat, then they vomit back and call them bulimia. Then you get people them where then they go eat, then they take laxative, rumbelle medicine, for so as they eat no more they go toilet. So the food no they get chance for digest or metabolize. So no they get the nutrients. So a lot of them people then they where them can say eating disorder na so. Then you get the other side where they not just not they stop for eat. Then they eat, they call them, most times people can say comfort eating. We all can do it from time to time where you just lay down. Sometimes you just not there in the mood, or you dey feel low. Sometimes you dey become so picky, you dey eat and stuff. Just some for most people, natural thing, Sunday can last 1 or 2 days, then it go away. But for people who get mental health illness, it doesn't go away because it's a disorder. And then you get the addictive behaviors. Within that addictive behavior, they get one common thing where they call OCD, when now obsessive compulsive disorder, where basically now people them way they go do the same thing over and over and over again. Then it gets for be their own way. It has to be. If they say let them put this bottle water na am, it get for the bottle water get for position in a certain way, the label get for turn certain way until that be they know they satisfied. or if for let them come inside the house, the cushion and the chair therefore be propped up in certain way and all that kind of stuff. So they that affects them a great deal. So those are serious mental health problems, you know. And many of us have mental health problems from time to time. It's just that sometimes they're not so life threatening, in the sense you have it, you're naturally able to get over it and then you move on. But the reason why mental health problems becomes a concern is when it carries on for a longer period of time, where the signs and the symptoms go unnoticed, and then more problems that begin come, and then you get things like the frequent stress, and then they begin affect your ability for function. So now the mental health problem, they become an issue, and it is common. 1 in 5 people gets diagnosed of a mental health condition. Yeah, and the thing, like every other health issue, it is not age specific. However, it's usually that they find most cases earlier on in life, as in the younger stage of your life. And the sooner they find them, the quicker and easier it is for make them able to treat them. And the longer it goes on without it being treated, the less likely they can treat it properly. So, and it can make you, mental health really can make you feel miserable. Not just you, but it can make other people who they around you miserable. It can affect your daily life. It can affect your family life. So it's really important we pay attention to it. So if we come to some of the signs and symptoms of mental health, let me see what if anybody has done any stuff here. I'm just checking to see if anybody's making comments so far. Nobody's making, just lots of evenings. And Fatima Taylor, blessed evening, sis. Thank you for highlighting such an interesting topic. Fatima, I am still waiting for you. You can't hide. You have to come. We need to do something together. You promised me. And then my sister, good evening, Alima. Good evening. Thank you. Yes, we have to talk about this, because I think we dey forget say a lot of us feel say, like I said in the beginning, we feel say where we see na salon, you see person create or even I am. Now when the mental health illness don't go to an untreatable condition, now they see people them na streets, that they pass, the dirty one, they hair all nappy na their hair, they smelly. Now we dey see that. But there's a lot of people where Sunday you walk colleague them, they get mental health problem, you don't even know. Or that it's because it's being managed properly and it's being controlled. So we need to pay attention and focus on the signs of symptoms. And it really, these signs and symptoms, they vary depending on the circumstances and the type of disorder where you get, and all the other factors that can affect it. And the most important thing for think about when you think about mental health, as they say, mental health is got to do with your mind. So it affects your emotions, it affects your thoughts, it affects your behavior, and it affects your feelings. You see, there's a big difference between feelings and emotion, and I think we need to be clear about that. Your feelings is totally different from your emotions, so it's very important. So when we talk about some of these signs and symptoms, the first simple one is that feeling. Sometimes people can feel sad, or sometimes people that say they feel down or they feel low. Yes, like I said earlier on, some of these feelings you can get it from time to time, especially like for women. Some women premenstrual, they can have these kind of feelings, or post-menstrual, they can have these kind of feelings, but it's very short-lived. It's when it's ongoing for a week or 2 or 3, then you should start thinking, this is not okay. And then also sometimes people really get muddled up with their thinking. They get confused, and then they reduce, or sometimes their ability to concentrate reduces completely, drastically. If now somebody where before they able to read one novel a week, all of a sudden as you see open the book and not able to read it, they lost concentration. If that's happening to you over and over again, then you need to seek help. Or if you're someone who works, let's say an IT person, you're used to fixing problems with IT, then all of a sudden you can't do any of that, then it's important you think about that. And then also some of the signs is excessive fears or worries or extreme feelings of guilt. Extreme. We all feel guilty from time to time. Sometimes they, say, me at the diet. Then when you bend at that corner, you go take one ice cream, especially when the weather is looking nice and beautiful at the moment. And then after you don't eat the ice cream, then you feel guilty and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna eat that ice cream anyway. I will start the diet tomorrow. That's not the type of guilt I'm talking about. It's that constant guilt where you feel you've done something wrong, but actually you haven't done anything. But your mind is telling you that you've done something wrong. And the extreme mood changes where somebody, 1 minute they're all smiley and happy, and so they could just say one something small, then they change completely by you. They had one by you, then begin make you palaver, or they get so extremely moody, their face then change, their body language change. You don't want to say, hey, what you do now? What me don't do? So those things. And again, like I said, all of these symptoms, it's part of normal life sometimes, but it's when it's persistent, that's when you need to be worried about them. Another thing is withdrawal from friends. Some people, for example, like me, I get them, I get lots of family around me. If all of a sudden they realize that when they call Isita, I don't call Isita one time, I don't call her two time, I don't call her three time, not return me call. That's very unlike Isita. Isita na one person where you call her one time. As you see, you don't get her on the phone, you see you miss call, it must call you within 24 to 48 hours with the reason why you don't call and apologize. So it's about knowing that person and knowing waiting at their pattern. And so when they deviate from that pattern or routine, then you know something is not right here. And then you start finding ways. Sometimes people will say, hey, but some people you go ask them, they will say, no, okay, I'm fine. Yes. Because sometimes people themselves don't know what to say or what to do. So it's really important you just find ways how to tackle those kind of situations. The other thing back is where people just feel tired all the time. Somebody go tell you, me I'm tired. I don't know what to make a tired. I just sleep no more. I just sleep. I know they feel for do nothing. I just want sleep. But I don't really they do nothing. So I don't know why I make I feel tired. So low energy, or I know they sleep better. I don't know why. I will only sleep 2-3 hours, then I not sleep. It's about what is going on in your mind, your thought processes, what is happening. Those are some of the things that are signs and symptoms of mental health issues. Detachment from reality. Reality, wherein sometimes people say, oh, this person is delusional. As in the sense, then when they say so, oh, not go yonder. If you go yonder, snake go back to you. You go say, me they go, they waiting at the team. So it's not about being brave, it's the fact that that person they is delusional. It just no know. It don't detach itself completely from the real world. It don't become or it become paranoid. Paranoid in the sense all man don't become an enemy. All man hate him. You like him for 7 on Facebook, you say na hypocrite you they make. You laugh for other person in page, he said that because of her make you don't like that, you don't laugh na that person name page. He said that because of her na him make you the pull hint. You say something you say na me make you don't make that statement they pull hint for me. So those are the things that some of the mental health issues that we need to look out for in the community. If you all the time where other people then like somebody else in post, you they vex for that, then there must be something wrong. Go check yourself. Or if you know somebody, anytime people then put a post, you kind of get offended and you relate that to yourself, then go check yourself. There must be something wrong. Excuse me. Today, my brother don't left me one. So, anyway, So if you want to call, please call. Excuse me. 07946 141 369. Sorry, my hay fever just really messes me up, but it's okay. I'm going to continue. So, we're still carrying on with the signs and symptoms. So, the inability to cope with daily problems and stress is also another way to find out that you have mental health issues. When we say inability to cope with daily problems or stress, we are a bit, Remy, we are discussing mental health issues, which I believe that also behavioral health issues also come into it. And yes, Remy, any obsession is a form of mental health illness. Yes, I mentioned that earlier on as well. So, and thank you for contributing. And the inability to cope with daily problems or stress. When we mean daily problems or stress is, for example, the inability, let's say if you're a mother and you have children of school age, we all know that you have to wake up in the morning, wake them up, make sure they've had breakfast, make sure they're ready, make sure they've got everything for school. You drop them off at school if you have to drop them off at school. Get yourself ready as well and go to work if you go to work. And then not being able to cope with those daily stress or problems of daily life is a concern. And then trouble understanding and relating to situations and to other people. Again, for example, where people do simple things and then you blow it out of proportion, it becomes such a big issue for you. And somebody can say, I don't see sense for this. So I don't really know why I made this person had done one for me because of this number one. All I do is I move that cup from point A to point B, or I plant wash the pan them. This net attire, I'm not able to wash the pan. Now that man balance up me. Those kind of things, or problems with alcohol or drug use, where somebody where maybe now person maybe don't use for drink just for, social reasons, as in one and go party, go drink in one or two beer, but all of a sudden now that person they don't clean a beer, lunchtime na beer, evening na beer, or spirits or whatever alcohol that they drink. Then na non-stop, you realize say the intake they become higher and higher and higher. That's a concern. Or they begin to take certain medication over and over and over again, especially painkillers. Some people get addicted to painkillers for the wrong reasons. So, and then major changes in eating habits, like we said earlier on. Somebody where say that person will love in food, all of a sudden it don't stop for eat. Somebody where be they enjoy for wine and dine, even if it's once a week, you say, oh, but no, come out, no, go eat out. Or when left for go clubbing or stuff, all of a sudden they get withdrawn, or they eat. And the other thing as well, for couples or partners, somebody where there's a sex drive change, where somebody where they enjoy for have sex maybe 3 times a week or 4 times a week or every day of the week, then all of a sudden that person they wait touch her, it turn him back. Something must be going on. Try and find out. It might not necessarily be mental health issue. I know alone I say now, una them man there. I know so let them man there when his sister turn him back, he say, so tell her crazy, you don't be crazy. So make I go check you. Like I said, you go. So don't so that deal. I beg. Not so because of that, you supposed to pull the bean and you don't pull and that next day they say, don't touch me. Also that kind of they talk. So like we said earlier on, excessive anger and hostility or violence, where people that they react inappropriately, then behavior they change, just inappropriate behavior. And then last but not the least, suicidal thoughts, where people then, some people then they where they in their mood then they, or where it don't really soak in like the depression or any other mental health issue. All they want to think about is kill themselves, because sometimes they think very worthless. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel they're useful to society. They feel say everybody hate them, or the one that will get them paranoid schizophrenia. Everybody they feel say everybody they tell them say they're for dying and all they don't belong there or here or anything. So it's very, very important we think about things like that and look out for things like that. So and then we get some of we sister then I where they talk. So make I just mention. Yeah, Fatima said mental health can be hereditary, environmental factors. Yes, we're coming there, we're coming there. And my concern with our community is that seeking professional help and support is the last thing we do. Like everything else. Isn't that why I started this program in the first place? We're nearly coming to a year now. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do when it's the year. How I'm gonna mark the 1 year, the first year of doing the health show, July. I think it's around July 16th. But that is the reason, Fatima. That's why that is the driving force why I'm doing this program. And some people might think, oh, you idle or you like for talk or something you just want to show off what if you say na you want to learn book. No, it's about raising awareness. We all get what we good at and we need for learn for give back to the society, to the community, and that's all I'm doing. I'm not getting paid for this. I don't want any official or formal acknowledgement because for me it's all about giving back. That's alone for me. If now one person said after this program today go back and think about what I do and put something into action, then for me I've achieved something. So let's think about that. So of course the lack of insight into everything. Remy says our community regard mental health as a taboo. Yes, like everything. I am here to say that it is not, otherwise there will not be counseling available. Yes, Remy, like I said earlier on, to me people them, this problem not to Africa problem no more. Because Africa, we look and say, now person don't do we. Then do you. Now make so. This it happen to the white Caucasian, to the Asians, to all the other people, then the West Indians, everybody, mental health is everywhere. It's non-selective. So, and sometimes with the signs and symptoms, we don't do all them funny signs and symptoms. But the other thing back, they can present themselves into as physical problems. For example, somebody they, especially in picking them, children for sure. Like I'll use my daughter for example. When my daughter is anxious or she's worried about something, and now they tell me say, "Mommy, I'm worried." She's only 11 now. She just turned 11. You know they tell me say, "Mommy, I'm worried about something." It always gets a stomach pain. When you see me daughter tell me say, "Mom, I don't feel good. I have stomach pain." Straight away they think about what should be happening when make it don't begin feel anxious because it's anxiety now in the game stomach pain, and that happens for a lot of young children. The other thing what can happen with a lot of young children when they are anxious or something is bothering them is bedwetting, what we call pisabed. While Salona, I remember if you pisabed, I'm gonna beat you dead. Then sing payuna the whole compound, pisabedi jankoliko, pisabedi jankoliko. But there is something going on where make that pikin they do bedwetting at the age where they were not supposed for the bedwet. There's always something going on. Or for some people, it turn into back pain or headache or just unexplained ache and pain. Somebody go say, I don't really know, but my body don't feel right. I know they feel good. I don't know what thing they happen. So these are some of the things we have to look out for. Like I say, in we life, both mental and physical issues, a lot of the symptoms are very, very common from one ill health to another. But the most important thing, when you notice some of their signs and symptoms, is not for you to make a diagnosis. I'm not here to make a diagnosis. It's for you to be able to know and recognize those signs and symptoms and be able to take it somewhere where there are professionals. Like for example, in the UK here, you've got a general practitioner. You can go to them and you can share your experiences with them, and then they'll be able to do something we'll call differential diagnosis for kind of eliminate waiting and feel say might be the most common issues. Once they do that, and then they start sending you for further tests and investigations for let them able make confirmed diagnosis. Thank you to Kadiatu very much. Appreciated. It's you people that keep me going. You give me the drive. So then we go into the causes. What causes mental health illness? Well, mental health illness is caused by two reasons. You know, it could be genetic, wherein it becomes hereditary, or it can be through to environmental factors. Now, if we go into inherited traits, yeah, the more common, it's more common in people when they say you inherit mental health issues, is you have to be related to that person by blood. So you mama, you papa, you sister, you brother, you have to be related. The closer you are to them, the higher you are at risk for get that inheritance day. And this is to do with the genes then. Remember, all the time when we talk about what our body is made of. Our bodies are made up of cells, and within those cells, we've got genes and then DNA and all sorts. And certain genes, just like when I talk about cancer, if in certain families, certain genes where they increase your risk of developing mental health illness are more pronounced than in some other people. And then so because of that, then people that they are at higher trigger list. So for somebody like me and you, where for wake up, sort out to picking them, go left the school, go work, don't work, come, waiting there for cook, we sort out everything, we do some cleaning, we do some ironing, I do this. It's okay for me, it's normal, I can cope with that stress. For somebody where they're at a higher risk in terms of mental health, that kind of busy life might trigger the mental health issues. So that is what it is to do with inherited traits. So environmental exposures, sometimes that could be before birth, in the sense where if your mama or your papa now be drug users them or alcohol users, something would have happened, and then through that intake it can affect you mentally after birth and stuff. And then environmental stressors such as just lifestyle, how you they live your life, or how people that they treat you, and social media. These days, social media, there's a lot of cyberbullying going on, which is causing a lot of mental health issues. So that is serious environmental stressor. And inflammatory conditions, toxins, alcohol, and drugs. We all know right now we community in Sierra Leone, there's a big issue with drug problem, drug addiction amongst the youth. Tramadol has become the drug of choice. Like my sister Asma James, we're doing program, and we write that article. They talk about first they make butterscotch, now butter, milk, and sugar with they mix. Now then, then they mix out with tramadol, or I think there's another or brown or cannabis and stuff. Now so now they do butterscotch. Or I've actually seen now, I see them over there, they cut the back of the earlobe, then put them grind the tramadol and put away. Those are the kind of things that cause problems, because waiting people they not realize there's a lot of evidence and research that says your brain does not mature fully until you've grown past adolescence, which is at least over 25. Now, if you're not somebody where you gather inherited traits of mental health illness genes now your family, then you go smoke cannabis, or we call an salon jamba, or they call an weed, or one of the versions of it when are the skunk or brown, then you go smoke them. It cause what we call drug-induced psychosis. Drug-induced psychosis. And cannabis is one that is very well known for that. So it's really important we think about things like that. The other thing back is those we can see in our salon people then say, this person in family, the last mommy whether we don't give them. Now make if you see them drink rum, then they craze. That is so untrue. It's because it might be that they have a mental health illness gene in their family. So they're higher triggers. So then, of course, so for them, when they go take alcohol, it just triggers it and then it comes out. So those are the kind of things that are linked to mental health illness. And then, of course, you've got the brain chemistry. Now, unfortunately, some people are unlucky, you know. Um, what is not true, Remy? Um, for some people, brain chemistry, brain, the way it works, it has something they call neurotransmitters. Just like when you get touchlight, you turn the touchlight on, it show you light. You turn it off, you day in darkness. So now that neurotransmitters that they do. So then you work with where they release chemicals them where they carry signals to the different parts of the brain where they tell you for do things such as think this way. When you see the road, you for make sure say you stop, you wait, you check, you make sure say it's safe before you cross. Now, if them transmitter then bar off or something go wrong with them or what you call chemical imbalance, then of course they send you mixed message. It's just like you touch light. If the battery they not you don't find inside, you go hot a light, the touch light not they come on. So that is just a simple example of how the brain works. And when some of them chemical imbalance they occur, what does it lead to? It leads to depression and then other emotional issues wherein you're low in mood or you get upset very easily or any other issues that are going on. So one of the things okay, thank you Remy, thank you very much. Thank you so much. And just to remember, you can phone, it's 07946141369. I'm becoming lonely here on my own. I know you guys are making comments, but please feel free to call. I'll be getting some question and answer with DJ Little in a minute. So I'm sure he'll be asking questions from just local perspective. So then we get risk factors. What are the risk factors that can, make you more susceptible to some of these mental health issues? What are the risk factors? So these risk factors are what increases your risk of developing. Risk factors means is waiting at the thing that will increase your risk of developing mental health illness. Like we said before, you're a risk factor if you come on a family where you already get mental health problem, or you fashion stressful life situations, or you are exposed constantly to stressful life situations such as financial problems or sometimes a sudden unexpected death for some people can throw them into some serious depression. And sometimes divorce, people where a relationship breaks down, where the one person was not really ready for it to end, and then it ends. And sometimes the way it ends as well can also increase the risk of mental health illness. And then you have chronic illnesses such as diabetes. They can lead to mental health illness. Yeah, and then, of course, you've got brain damage. Brain damage as a result of a serious injury. For example, you have a car crash. That sometimes can have lead to mental health issues. Then we come to traumatic experiences. Now, I want we for listen as a community, as Sierra Leoneans. I think one of Sierra Leone, as far as I can remember, for the last 2 decades, we've gone through 3 major issues that are traumatic experiences for our people and for us. And the first one I can remember is the Civil War. The Civil War that we had for, I think, did we have it for like about 10 years or so? That caused there was a lot of traumatic experiences. I mean, some of them we use it to make jokes, because one thing where Sierra Leoneans we have a great sense of humor. So I remember one story where they talk about Lieutenant Korthan. When they go, people they queue, then it go ask them if na short sleeve or long sleeve or glove they want. Now that is why we've ended up with so many amputees in our country today. So let's ask ourselves, imagine, put yourself na that person dey in shoes wey you team up, then tell you say, tell me, I dey can't cut you hand now. Tell me how for cut am. Like just cut, like you glove, which means I cut to your wrist bone na, or let I give short sleeve, long sleeve, where I go cut maybe na ya, and then make I give short sleeve or long sleeve, whatever way them cut you na ya. And this is done wetin we call as a jam jam, not say like for say them put you not to an elective amputation where them plan am because something wrong they need for cut that your foot or your hand or whatever, or your toe or your finger. No, and then they put you under local anesthetic, and then they go don't tell you about it, and they go don't prepare you. No, this is basically you then say you hide, or then can you now you area that day, then they can't do this kind of thing to you. Those are the things we consider traumatic. Or even that day, sef, for the people them where they enter January 6th, that day where they enter na Calvatum, them picking, and some of them picking, and now they're young adults. Has anyone ever thought what is happening in their mind? We see a lot going on in our community, in our social media. We see a lot of anger, frustration being vented out on social media. Has anyone thought this is probably some of the side effects of the post-traumatic stress that we went through, that people went through? This is called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And normal people have it. So it's not about like I keep reminding you people that with their mental health illness, they are not of certain sort. People go there and wear them suit and tie, and go work in the office, then will they suffer from this PTSD. You get people them. I remember one me niece where can stay with me, where we really get caught up in the war. Then me not know, me not realize waiting. And the first time I realize the impact on them. Now I take bonfire night, I carry and go fireworks. I say, oh come color go let go see that they do banger, we are that they do and that nice way and everything. The first banger where they make she was okay. But when they begin the full force of pow, which is just the same as gun then, AK-47 then, M16, the way they get. It run at me hand. It run at me hand. He said, I said, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. And then initially I begin laugh from first. I the one that say, oh my God, waiting happen. I begin laugh. Then now I realize, say, oh no, this is serious. Now he said, the war. So a lot of people, and that person is a normal person. That person is a normal. Okay, with time, it don't learn for deal with it, I don't learn for cope with them because it probably then at the right environment. But what about the people who are not then at the right environment? What about all these things that we're seeing on social media today? Is it a way people are expressing some of these issues that are going on in their head and they don't know how to deal with it, so it comes out the way they are not expecting it to come out? So let's think about that. And of course, not just the war. We have Ebola, and then we had the mudslide, and then the things that are happening daily, day in, day out, the sexual violence, the abuse, the rape, all those things are trauma. People are exposed to these traumatic experiences, and sometimes people go say, boy, they be rape you now. When you 10, now they rape you now. You baby woman like you now they can't begin affect you. That is why they call it post-traumatic stress disorder. Because when certain things happen to you, your body they find way for deal with it, your mind they find way for deal with it. Maybe that moment that you're not able to express yourself, then you pack them. You dey pack am now one side of you brain, when are you subconscious, you left and day. Then you carry on with your day-to-day life. Now something extra no more they happen. Just something very simple. Now they happen where they trigger that you problem, that you traumatic experience where you don't save na corner. Now in the trigger, they come out, then it begin manifest itself into so many various things. So let's think about that, me people. That let's really, really, really think about that. There's a lot going on in our community that is not healthy, and sometimes we're thinking, why? Let's think about some of these issues that we've had to deal with as a country, and the fact that we don't have proper systems in place where they support people them post these traumatic experiences. We didn't have any proper systems in place where cancel people them, picking them, they team up, they watch them kill all them mama, them papa, them sister them. Maybe now they one grain left because they were too small and they not see them, but then see all that they all. You they see people team up, they say them please better woman because they argue whether the sex of the baby is male or female. Then them please that better woman they in belly open, then pull that picking. All these things are trauma. And then the Ebola, of course, the Ebola, the trauma, the nightmares. I, for one, for sure, go say, my brother will be really there within the Ebola. That haunted him for a long, long time, and I bet you it still does. But yes, so, but because he recognized them, he's able to deal with it. Not everybody has that opportunity to do that. So let's think about that. Let's think about the use of alcohol or recreational drugs. Those are also risk factors. Not all unmanned things they are fit. Like I say, if you already have predisposing factors, then you go drink some excessive alcohol. It will tip you over. You not get nothing for those because you papa na be alpha man, then you special as mommy where you be say you not so put them. Your papa be swear you. We with family, they will grandpa and be swear. Say if we drink alcohol, we go crazy because of the last mommy where they give it. That is not true. That is so not true. You know, we have to think about things like that. And like I mentioned, you know, childhood history of abuse and neglect, having few friends or few healthy relationships, previous mental illness that had been treated also is a risk factors. And will cause problems. And then some of the complications sometimes which are linked to mental health illness include unhappiness. If you already get mental health illness, then you're unhappy. It just to make it worse. Decreased enjoyment of life as a result of mental health. It cause that. It cause family conflicts. We've seen a lot of family conflicts. Relationship difficulties. People find it difficult to hold on to relationships. Not just husband and wife, not just boyfriend and girlfriend, not just girlfriend and girlfriend, but even just basic friendship. They cannot hold on to it. They get paranoid about every little thing. You get social isolation. People choose or sometimes they feel socially isolated, thinking about things like that. And then, of course, you know, you see people then because of mental health illness, they go begin miss school, they go begin miss college, they go begin miss work, then go be they feel bullied, or then self forget the mental health problem, go they bully other people then because it works both ways, because that's the way they think they can protect themselves. And then legal and financial issues, they cause mental health problems. Poverty and homelessness causes mental health problems. And I have slept on the streets as a fundraising activity, and I can testify just that one night where I laid on that pavement, I can now understand how it relates and how it links in with mental health problems. And then, of course, the self-harm, the harm to others, such as the self-harm which includes suicide or homicide or killing other people because of, for example, paranoid schizophrenia. Sometimes you mind they tell you say your husband are your enemy, or you mind they tell you say your husband plan for kill you, then you go one kill him, or vice versa. You mind go they tell you say your woman one kill you, or your mama na witch man, or your papa na witch man. All these things can cause and lead complications also of mental health illness, and it can weaken your immune system. And when it weaken your immune system, it causes more and more problem. And then oh yes, thank you, Remy. And then of course it cause physical problems such as heart disease and other medical problems. So I think it's very, very important we think about these things. So just I'm gonna stop there for a minute, but I also want to just remind anybody, if any of waiting I don't talk about today, you've had an experience of it, or you know somebody who don't get an experience of it, or you yourself are feeling somehow, then there are helplines you can contact. In the UK here, you can contact the Samaritans. You can contact them on 116 123. 116 123. Someone you can talk to. If you are a child and you're meant to be in bed, but then you're sneaking and you're watching this program and something is going on in your house, or you're not happy, or you're being bullied, or you feel sad, or you're being raped, and you don't know who to talk to because you're scared, because you don't want to upset mommy, you don't want to upset daddy, you don't want to upset auntie, you want everybody to like you, then you can call Childline. You can call Childline and it's free. And it's 0800 1111. Or if you're a young person, you can call Papyrus. Papyrus you can get on 0800 068 4141. And then if you're an elderly person, you're over 65 but over 60, and you then are you host, you begin to maltreat you, or you dey feel down, you dey feel homesick, you're lonely, you're feeling low, you need someone to talk to, you dey feel socially isolated, call Silverline 0800 470 8090. These are for people where they're in the UK. You can talk to somebody where you trust. And then if you live in the USA, you can talk, you can call this number called Sam Sharp, which is 1877 726 4727. It's a general helpline, and then when you talk to them, depending on the area where you live, they'll be able to signpost you to your local support. So Mara said improving access to psychological services in Southwark, Lambeth, and Lewisham is very now helpful for few people who needs counseling or finding it difficult to cope. Yes, you can self-refer yourself or via your GP or visit the website for more information. Also, Slam Crisis Line, thank you, in South London for people who are going through mental crisis and need urgent advice. So you see, this is the beauty of doing such programs. People are coming out. People are sharing their information. Mayawa is a mental health nurse, very experienced, years and years, over 20 years of mental health experience. And then you've got Fatima. Fatima works with the homeless people. And we all know homelessness is linked with mental health issues. So again, she's there sharing information and guiding people. So this is what it's all about. Bringing our knowledge together, talking, sharing, and learning. That is what it's all about, me people them. So then we get this thing what we call stress, where everybody whole day will talk about, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm tired. Well, stress, if not managed properly, can lead to a lot of these serious mental health illnesses. And waiting as stress, waiting really as stress. Stress, now the way our body they respond to pressures from given situations or life events. And that way we body they react. And stress now something we're very subjective. Like I said earlier on, me for grab morning time, 5 o'clock morning, cook 5 kilo jollof rice, then get myself ready, get me picking ready, go left on a school, go work whole day, manage me team na work, come back na house, can do what I got for do, run kana and talk for me, now they know they do me nothing, no they touch me. While somebody else not going to cope with that kind of stress. So stress is very, very subjective depending on the individual and depending on everything else that is going on in your life at that given time. And also with you know, so when you encounter stress, we body they produce some stress hormones where they trigger something what they call fight or flight response. You can hear it sometimes some people say, you see fire now you map there you freeze, because you brain the function only two ways. Either you run or you freeze or you retaliate. So now then you can see somebody then you say, you see that one choke you, then you go hold the neck, because that is the flight response, not the fight. That's the fight response, not the flight response. So it's really waiting the go on and your brain at that moment there. And sometimes, so some of these new or unexpected or something where they threaten you, You react to them differently depending on that kind of person where you be. Um, and a small level of stress, we all need a small level of stress for that we able to get on with day-to-day life. Because, for example, me, if I'm not there under pressure, certain things I'm not able to do. If I get assignments for do, I have to be under a certain amount of stress for make me brain cells them open. Let I think about the answers and the questions and how to answer the questions. So there is some good stress and it can be beneficial and it helps you to respond to things very quickly. So we have to be clear about that. What we're worried about, what we're trying for you to avoid is excessive stress. Yeah, people that say, I mean, anybody that stress me, I don't want in business or any situation that stress me. Rightly so, because if you cannot deal with it, situations where they leave you sleepless with sleepless nights and everything, it is very difficult. You have to think about how you deal with them and how you can manage them. So everybody has a coping mechanism. People can ask, oh, what do you mean you coping? Everybody has a level of stress you can cope with. And everybody has, when you're under stress, how you deal with it and how you can cope with it. It becomes an issue or a big problem when you don't have a coping mechanism or when you're not able to recognize a coping mechanism. For example, for me, when I've had a stressful week, what do? I make sure I have a long hot bath, and then I relax. I maybe just play me jazz. I love my jazz. Just somebody like Kenny G, and I listen and I sleep. Somebody there, if you watch soap opera, if they don't sleep, now so they cope with stress. Somebody there, he go clubbing, he dance whole night, and so they cope with stress. Somebody there, I get one my sister in a shopping, they go shopping. He shop. He counts and I can't put her all night in bed. Then or he hang on her wardrobe for months. It makes her feel good. That's how she copes with that here and now moment of stress. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But everybody get to identify your own coping mechanism is very, very important. So I mean, we need to look at things like that. So, and serious excessive stress, again, you do look at changes in your emotional ability, your behavioral ability, your bodily changes. People can say, I'm not gonna say it me here, I don't begin for them. Stress, excessive stress can cause that. Who can be affected. So all those things, it's very, very important. We need to look out for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's enough of me talking now. I've talked. I can give DJ Little an opportunity for just kind of, they'll just chit chat a little bit, and then we go round up the show. Like I say, this is a three-part series because there's a lot. So today we've talked about the signs, the risk factors, and the triggers. Next week we'll talk about how and where to get help. Some of we sisters, they not already talk about some of that and mention that, which is amazing. So people can go back and look at this. We also look at prevention. How do we protect ourselves? How do we look and maintain a good mental health? How do you maintain a good mental health is going to be part 2. And then part 3 is the role of family and our community, which basically includes our friends, our spiritual leaders, everybody within our community. What is their role in supporting someone who's got a mental health issue or supporting that person? So it's very, very important. So DJ Little, are we coming over? Let's come and have a bit of a chit chat, question and answer. Again, hello Susan. It's been a while, long time. I haven't seen you. I hope you and your family are okay. The kids, I see the kids on Instagram from time to time. They're grown. They're so grown. Yes, Fatima says our community is trying by hosting parties weekly to help combat stress. However, people now avoid parties due to stress doors present there. Indeed, because if you're going to the party because it's a way to just release your stress because you've had a long week or stuff. But then when you go there, there are other factors that they are making you more stressed. Of course, you're going to avoid it. But then what does that lead to? It leads to social isolation, isn't it? Because then you don't really have a coping mechanism, because that was your coping mechanism. So it's so true. It's so true. Yeah, temperament plays a role as well. Like I said, again, if you have, there's also evidence and research. When I was reading through and researching this topic, there is evidence that in a family that is very, I don't know how for talk we're loud, we're active, we're very emotional, everything they take them big, they are higher risk of mental health issues, you know. How can they recognize the triggers? Recurrent headaches, poor dietary intake, poor sleep, etc. Yes, absolutely. Like we've spoken about lots and lots of times. So over to you, my dear brother. What's your question for me, or what are you talking
So
about?
I just want to say well done. I absolutely love the program. Good evening, Kushe Kabo, me family. As always, we're all always looking forward to the health show with Isaac Assise, and it's been absolutely amazing. And there was no really need for me to be in the studio live on this chair with you, because like it's been fascinating, just being the audience. I've enjoyed it, you know, because I've got my tablet and I'm going through all the pointers that you're like looking for all the pointers. I'm thinking, yeah, yeah. But obviously I wanna have a dialogue. I wanna have a dialogue which where I wanna be educated a lot more on mental health issues. So I don't know. I just want to say if I was going to say to you, you talked about the triggers earlier on, right? And what I'm trying to thinking, if what are the early signs that you might be looking out to for your loved one, that you might think, okay, I am thinking, I'm seeing or I'm understanding some behaviors which I am not comfortable with or I'm not happy with. What should I be looking for, and what?
Well, that is a sign. Changing behavior that you're not used to seeing,
Yeah,
is already a sign. I mean, it might not be a mental health problem. There might be some other issue.
yeah,
Maybe you've just spent all the money
okay,
that you're not supposed to spend,
yeah,
so they're just being not nice to you to try and make you understand that you've done something wrong.
okay,
But if it's not that, and it's something that is persistent, then of course that in itself is a sign.
Does that have like a timeline to see? Is it longevity? Say, let's say
Yeah,
a systematic pattern
exactly.
of that behavior
Absolutely.
growing and escalating itself,
Yeah.
and then you're thinking, okay, I've been doing this for 2 months, and then like the last 4 months, and it's getting worse.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Alright.
You know, so it's different change in attitudes, behavior, emotions.
Yeah.
You know, if for example, if that person where you blank don't use for touch on my shoulder, so
Yeah.
or then as soon as it touch me,
Yeah.
what's making you touch me?
Yeah.
You know, then you want to say, hey, what I don't do?
Yeah.
You know,
Do you know I've got
then maybe you could say, oh, this person is in a bad mood today, like avoid that.
Yes.
But then every day you do the same thing and the same thing, or any other thing where you do. Why you making a pass before me? Don't block me.
Yeah.
Give me the remote, or all those kind of things. There is something going on.
Yeah.
It might be the beginning of mental health issues. It might be something troubling them. But of course, like anything else, if you don't try and resolve things the sooner the start, the longer it takes, the harder it is to deal with it.
Okay.
You know, so it's very, very important.
Well, what I wanted to find out more, and I want to talk about, I don't know if this is being addressed in today's topic. It's about mental health assessment. I mean, are you able to assess a family member, or is that part of your second part or your third part?
I think that will be part of the second part,
okay.
where we'll go about how and where to get help.
Okay.
I will not really go too much into mental health assessment, because I think that's very professional.
Right.
And that's very clinical. And I'm not a clinical psychiatrist, neither a psychotherapist, neither you know, a doctor. So I will not go so much into assessment. What I think we need to focus on is what to look out for.
Yes.
And when you have such concerns, is where to go seek help and what is available. Like I said, a few of my sisters have already mentioned things that are available, or services that are available, especially in London. But it's about looking for what's available wherever you are.
Okay.
You know, and whether some mental health problems, for example, like clinical depression, needs to be treated by medication. Some people will say to you, oh, if you take the medication, it's going to make you worse, or that's what even makes your they don't get that medicine. Where you see they don't can go that Christian, that medicine and you go make it worse. No,
Yeah.
it's because they're probably so clinically unwell. It's gonna take some time for them to get them back to their baseline. You know, and
I was
sometimes they
looking
never
earlier on.
can.
Yeah, I was
You
looking
know.
earlier on when you were talking about some of the triggers of mental health, and one of the key thing I don't think was mentioned, or maybe I wasn't around at the time, was can something like bereavement.
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay,
I did.
okay,
I did
alright,
talk
so I
about
probably
death.
wasn't around.
Yes,
Okay.
I did talk about some of the triggers being death
Okay.
of a loved one,
Okay.
especially sudden and unexpected deaths.
Okay.
That's really, really a big one. But even expected deaths, it depends on how close and dependent you were on that person. So those that can be a trigger that can lead to mental health problems, or even things like separation or divorce. Again, I said that earlier on. It's about how you go about it and how ready that person is. You know, sometimes in relationship, people take things for granted a lot. You know, we all have our selfish reasons why we do things and how we do things. And sometimes, oh, Namina number one, Namisa I care about, I'm not care what other people think. But you sometimes it's very important to think about the impact your actions have on somebody else.
True.
Very, very important to have that at the back of your mind. This me behavior what they do today, what's in the impact on somebody else? And sometimes you might think, oh well, as long as it not affect me, immediate family, I don't care. But that's so not true. Because it's kind of like a ricochet process sometimes. Sometimes or a boomerang effect. What do you feel say no they affect you or what they do it not will affect you directly, it will always bounce back on you.
True.
Indirectly or directly. So it's very, very important think about that. So you see, Fatima here saying, as a nurse, AMHP, I am willing to help families with diagnosis, treatment pathways, and support. Yes, thank you, Fatima. So I think you should come to the next program, which is next week. I am now
Throwing it out there.
publicly inviting you because I've quietly invited you.
Privately and personally.
And privately invited you and personally invited you. Now I'm publicly inviting you, Fatima Taylor. Please come to next week's part 2 series, which is all about how and where to get help. I think you will be of great use or assets to this program, or anyone else who feels they've got a specialist experience in these areas. Please inbox me or inbox Diaspora Voices. We'll contact you. The program is going to be next Thursday. I think next Thursday is what, the 4th?
Yeah.
Yeah, next Thursday the 4th. And then the following Thursday, which I think is the 11th, I believe.
Yeah.
So please, I'm more than happy. I always say, like I said to everyone all the time, this is all about collaborative working. We have to work together to make things better, to, you know, pass on the information and message. Ooh, yay! Invitation accepted. Yes.
You have done it and you have said it in public.
You have said it, so we're gonna hold you. I am holding you to that. Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. The other thing I wanted to find out is, first of all, by the way, if you're watching, we've got less than 15 minutes left, so please call and share your story. We've got a brand new studio line, and the number is 07946 141 369. That's 07946 141 369. That's the number to call and ask if you want to share your personal stories for us to read, evaluate, and get Aissatou Ceesay to discuss that. The email number is Diaspora Voices. That's all one word. That's Diaspora Voices, NGSL. That's November Golf Sierra Lima at gmail.com. That's the email address. And see, what I wanted to see, because you've covered everything, to be very honest with you.
I know.
I was going to tell you about my mental health status personally, but I'm not prepared to share it here.
We'll leave it for next week.
We'll leave it for next week. Another thing is the pressures of marriage, which you talked about earlier. and how it can trigger mental health behavior. You know, there are I there is a scenario where I was out and about last week at one of our local restaurants, and there's a brother that just approached, just out of me, and then he said, "You know what? I'm just about to walk out of my relationship." He said, "I said why?" And then he said, "Because for 8 years I did not have my paper. I lived with my wife, and I was tortured. I was psychologically bullied. I was mentally bullied. All my earnings was done towards this young lady or this woman, and I looked after a child, the first child, which was not mine, before my second. She did not want to have a baby for me. And then fast forward to, he now has his stay, his indefinite stay, and everything changes. And then he said, "I'm coming out. I want out of the relationship," because he says the psychology is, whenever I look to this woman, now the woman wants to secure the relationship, wants to secure the marriage. Whenever I look to this woman, I resent her. I hate her. You know what I mean? So I think I want to walk out of the relationship. Is that to do the mental health behavior, the tortures which he suffered within the 8 years of marriage? Would that have been a factor for him wanting to leave? I don't understand.
That could have been, or that could have, yeah. And then he just had lots of coping mechanisms, and for the fact that he had an end goal, which is basically, my focus here, I need to get my papers sorted. So I'm prepared to go through whatever I have to go through. But then, of course, as soon as the papers were sorted out, that coping mechanism disappeared. He now can't cope with it. But I think if with someone like that, if he really wants the relationship, and they truly want the relationship, for not just for the sake of the children but for themselves, then they should consider talking therapy. They should consider counseling. There is counseling available. There's so much. You have couples counseling, you've got one-to-one counseling, you have got lots of support and help. I think these days, when it comes to relationship, that's a different kettle of fish. I don't want to go too much into it in this program, but I think people give up too easily. People give up on relationships too easily, whether it's friendship, whether it's an intimate relationship or partnership. People give up too easily, whether it's because of other external or environmental factors or anything else. They give up too easily. Sometimes it's about looking at all the different help and support you can get or put in place and once you've exhausted all of that, then you can say, well, enough is enough. And it has to be the right support you have to look for. And there's so much to do with domestic abuse. So much is unbelievable. And people themselves need to be able to identify and accept that they're undergoing abuse for them to be able to seek help. But as long as they really don't express it, it's not. So for this man, he went through all sorts of abuse, really. He went through, I would say, financial abuse, because you said he gave a lot of his money and everything to him. Of course, domestic abuse, very probably cussing him every day. Look, you wait, because you wait. If you do this, I'll give you paper. All those kind of stories we hear, and then of course, the mental abuse as well. So there's a lot going on in that mindset. But I think the most important thing is for him to seek help. Walking away from that relationship is not going to end some of the experiences he's gone through. It's not going to take them away. It might temporarily get rid of them, but it might be as soon as he gets himself into similar situation, which he might.
And that will be a trigger point.
That will be a trigger point. So it's always good to ask for help, So I think, yes, the problem with counseling is that us Africans find it hard to forgive or let go of issues. That's the thing, my dear sister. I think as a community and a society, that's what we have to learn to do. We have to learn to forgive and forget and move on. We have this habit of, if you do me something today, you apologize. Then 2 months down the line, you do. Now, so back to you do me the same thing, or you do me this.
There's always a
Da, da, da.
constant
There's
reminder.
always a constant recount of what happened and what did not happen, what happened and what did not happen.
Well, it's what I call in an African relationship, the average African relationship is based on point scoring.
Yeah. So I think
and there's always has to be the edge of somebody has to always feel winning.
Yes.
I am a winner, I'm winning.
Yes.
No matter what, even if it's the most minutest of things, you have
Yeah.
to feel
absolutely.
I am winning.
And I think
And probably don't you think that's the reason why counseling does not work?
yes, but
Or
also
in
maybe
our
it's
setting.
because, like Fatima just said, maybe we need more black counselors, maybe people who can relate, erase to race relation,
Right.
where we can relate to one another and we can understand. And I think I agree with Fatima, because even in my line of job, it's always difficult to deal with the non-white population to some extent, because of our culture and traditional values that we attach to everything we do. That includes our physical health. And so sometimes I find when I come across certain patients, I have to kind of balance my professionalism with my Africanism,
Right.
and then deal with them in such a way that I'm able to get through to them more and better and easier than if I went to, the textbook way and just go directly and go by the book. So you're very, very African women are elephants. We never forget. Now the thing I know, my sister. Anyway, I think we're gonna be rounding up now.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank everybody for listening, and please continue to share this program. It will also be on YouTube in the next few days.
Yeah.
Please, and tune in for next week's one. And then we're expecting my dear sister Fatima Taylor to be present here to talk to us. So that would be really nice, because that will be an open dialogue thing where I'll be asking a lot of questions about how and where to get help.
She's
And
no
some of
stranger to
the-
the
and some of
DJ
the
Little
things-
show. She's just a stranger to the Diaspora Voices studio.
Yeah.
And so she needs to be here.
Yeah, and so we look at things like that and everything, and we should continue supporting one another and everything, And then of course we've got our, my great nephew's stuff here, CD, look out for it. The Javan Coker Foundation. The Javan Coker Foundation is growing,
It's growing, and
There's an event coming up.
Yeah.
The foundation has got an
It's gonna
event
be on September
coming up.
August the 31st.
No, it's not August the 31st.
September the 1st is not the date. We've had conversations.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's gonna be changed,
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah.
So that would be good, that would be fantastic, and it's gonna be a fantastic day. So if you've got children with disability,
Yeah.
and like we did in one of the programs not so long ago when I talked about carers,
Yeah.
where you're feeling isolated, socially isolated, because you don't have nowhere to take your child or someone to look after your
Your
child
money is
and
going towards a good cause.
have a break, then please come to this event. There's going to be volunteers who are professionally trained, or who have knowledge, or who are parents themselves, or experienced carers themselves, who are going to be able to take your child and or supervise them in a play area whilst you just chillax. You just relax for, even if it's just 20-30 minutes with
Yeah.
no worry. I think that will make a big difference. So please don't forget that. There's more information to come on that. This is a brand new foundation that is starting, but I think this is something new, very new in our community. We've not seen the kind before, and I think we need to support such a foundation to grow, because we need it. And I think whether we like it or not, we have a lot of mental health issues in our community. And we need to find ways to resolve them, treat them, and support those who are going through it for one reason or another. So thank you so much. Have a blessed evening and have a lovely weekend. It is going to be a wonderful weekend, apparently.
Yeah, can I just add that whilst it's going to be a brilliant weekend, Government Secondary Technical School are having their barbecue, lunch or sale. So that's going to be at Champion Hill. What do you call that place?
Blanchdown
Community Center. Blanchdown Community Center, and it's on Saturday. This Saturday coming. It's going to be about 30 degrees. So
I know I'll be in Glasgow. I'll be
I think
hanging out.
you might not start to decrease in Glasgow.
No, it's not going to be. I'm going to be hanging out with the kilts and stuff.
Oh, nice. Can you send us a photograph of your kilt and the photograph taking it from underneath? Will that be okay?
I'll tell you.
Would you put the camera underneath?
I'll take my selfie stick.
Yeah, just get the selfie stick and shoot it from the
Yes.
Yeah. So make sure you come down.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Siddiqui. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Business manager Pastor has been trying to get hold of you, so make sure you respond.
Thank you so much.
And
have a blessed evening.
Yeah,
take care. I love you all, and I'll see you next week.
People, don't forget, she's back next week. But don't forget, we are not here tomorrow, so there's no sports show tomorrow. And we will be back on Sunday with the Dawa program on Sunday with Sheikh Bashir. And then, as you know, the ever reliable Mr. Weber, Sunday Good Word, will return. He wasn't here on Sunday gone last week for other reasons. But, so tune in to Diaspora Voices this Sunday. The Dawa program from 4 o'clock to 6, 4:30 to 6. And then from 6:30, you got Mr. Weber, Sunday Good Word. You don't want to miss it. And we'll do it all over again. It's been an amazing one. God bless you. And we'll see you very, 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 very shortly. Ta-da!
I watch TV.
Yeah, some glasses and want some clean. Now go ahead and go. You see them plates there?
Yeah.
What's everything there? Dry the sink for me.
Both sides you go money.
Wait till they ask me what side you go. Now you business. Very close there. What's in there? Full and fine.
Okay.
Because what can if nothing what you sabi me?
Okay.
That's me. Wow, nonsense. Yes, sir.
Hey, me. Você quer this one paper? Me, I don't see me on.
Salomon, the treating company very low. I mean, for sake of paper. Hey. Oh me, oh my, that company beat. Whoa, Lord. Paper, yeah. Paper, this paper. Now for the one great paper, oh. They use me, abuse me. Now for the one great paper, yeah. Paper, this paper. Now for the one great paper, oh. They use me, abuse me. Now for the one great paper, yeah. Paper, this paper. For the one game paper, oh, they use me, abuse me. And for the one game paper, yeah, paper, this paper. And for the one game paper, oh, they use me, abuse me. Okay then, for this paper, some they molest. For this one game paper, some man they talk stress. Some they eat stress, you know they digest. Depress, Solomon we like for suppress. For this paper, you they use me. When next guy you they really abuse me. When don't clean sharp words for molest me. Finally, you end for deceive me. Just for make no more, then go laugh me all day na WhatsApp. Congo Sami, Panem Party, Shumun pa me. Go now they sleep, you don't share pa me. You been free say you go conquer me. Whoa Lord, whoa me, whoa my. For the one great paper, yeah, paper, this paper. Now for the one great paper, oh, they use me, abuse me. Now for the one great paper, yeah, paper, this paper. Now for the one great paper, oh, they use me, abuse me. For the one great paper, yeah, paper, this paper. And for the one great paper, oh, they use me, abuse me. And for the one great paper, yeah, paper, this paper. And for the one great paper, oh, they use me, abuse me. Come on!
Looking for a new car, but stuck with credit problems? You can either buy a used car and suffer from high interest rates and unforeseen bills, or drive a brand new car on a fixed budget that includes servicing on a 3-year lease, all while rebuilding your credit. But how's that possible? With Wheels for Sure. We're 5-star rated, regulated by the FCA, and offer new car protection. Company car allowance drivers are automatically accepted. Contact us today for instant approval on 020 3823 1010. Terms and conditions apply. Looking for a new car, but stuck with credit problems?